What's up, friends? Welcome in to Rock Chalk Sports. Getting your week going here, ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com with Elijah Schmidt and Dan Courtwright. Sean Kellerman, thanks for joining us here as we break down the weekend that was in the world of KU athletics and across all of sports. Always appreciate you guys tuning in live on Facebook, live on YouTube, KansasNation.com, or everybody over listening in ESPN Kansas City. Lot to get into. A tough weekend for KU baseball as they get swept at home to West Virginia. We'll break that down here in the opening segment. KU still atop the Big 12 standings, but now it's ever so slightly. Really couldn't afford a sweep. Wanted to get at least one to clinch at least a share of the Big 12 title, but now with one series remaining, a series on the road at BYU, KU is going to need to win that series, and if they do that, they will still clinch at least a share. The path forward after a tough weekend that was. And we'll also let you know where KU is now, updated standings, D1 baseball, Baseball America in regards to the polls. Next segment, Nick Springer, Kansas City Sports Network. He will give his take on the KU baseball team and, of course, on Kansas basketball's edition over the weekend as well. Dan, why don't you plug the edition of Atticus Richmond?
Yeah, Atticus Richmond. We got our guy. He comes over from Newman Prep School. He played a lot of AAU ball. Essentially going to be a walk-on type player. He's going to be on scholarship, but a nice player with some okay statistics and, just one of those role players, maybe kind of a practice player. Think of him like a Corbin Allen of last year. But, that's filling in that roster spot. Kansas right now, they have 2 roster spots left to fill out before August is when boot camp starts, I guess, around there, yeah. September. So we'll see.
I don't know if this is the Richmond effect, but we will talk about this later when we look deeper at the roster. KU is up to 6 in Bart Torvik's preseason projections, which you and I are both Torvik guys, but I think probably this upcoming basketball season we're going to dive deeper into KenPom, Torvik, that sort of thing, because honestly, it does tell you who the best teams are.
Yeah, I need to pay for Torvik, man.
And, yeah, it's worth it. KenPom, top 5 offense, top 5 defense. That type of team always wins the national championship. As crazy as March Madness is, if you got good numbers, you're probably a pretty good team. And Torvik and KenPom both do a great job. So that's great to see, honestly. I don't think that we should overlook the fact that KU is up to 6 in Torvik based on their roster. And, again, we're excited to see these guys come together.
I like it's the Richmond effect.
It is.
The Atticus Richmond effect.
It's the Richmond effect, for sure. Following that, Case of the Mondays. Dan, what do we got on tap for Case of the Mondays today?
I got Keisha on here. Vanderbilt baseball, which this is one of the wilder stories that I saw all weekend long. They wound up losing to Mizzou on probably one of the worst calls that I've seen, but also everything was just insane. Everything, the fog was there, and I'll break it down, but essentially Vanderbilt got a home run called back and called a ground rule double because no umpire could see anything because it was so foggy outside. So just absolutely terrible. They had to suspend the game and play it the next day. Mizzou wound up winning. It's a whole big thing. I got some golf on there. I have 2 different soccer things on there in honor of the World Cup.
What are we going to do for World Cup coverage? Because we need to expand our coverage of the World Cup.
Yes.
But I don't know a ton about soccer.
So that's why I'm leaving it to you. I'm taking my wedding around when it starts.
Yes.
So, and then I'm taking my honeymoon the week after. So I'm going to leave that to you.
Perfect.
You can do all.
I'm a
big. By the way, my dad, weirdly enough, got into the EPL a few years ago, back when Jamie Vardy and Leicester City won the EPL. Okay. I still don't know anything about it. I picked a team. My team is the Tottenham Hotspurs.
Okay.
My dad's still a big Leicester City guy, which I would imagine. I think they've been relegated a few times since they won the EPL back in whatever that was, 2016 or whatever. But yeah, I'm a Tottenham Hotspurs guy. I was a big Harry, what's his name? Harry something? Harry Kane. Harry Kane was his name.
Yes.
And Sungwoo Kim, I believe, was the other guy's name on that team. I should know this.
You're struggling. You've never been great with names.
No,
I'll say that.
Especially on soccer teams that I'm allegedly a fan of. But
right.
I know very basic stuff about soccer because I did play FIFA 2K16 back in the day.
FIFA is an awesome game.
It's a great game. So much fun.
The ratio of how much I enjoy that game compared to how much soccer I actually watch, I mean, it's mind-boggling. But no, I love FIFA. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, World Cup, man, that starts a month from today.
We're gonna have to get Bucati on.
June 11th. We should get Nate Bucati on. He's a soccer dude through and through. So yeah, we'll we'll figure something out in terms of World Cup coverage because it's a big deal. We got Algeria coming here to the River City, and we got to get this construction taken care of, man. It was a disaster. Even today,
dude,
driving down 9th.
So down in my neck of the woods,
yeah,
you can't, if you're driving south on Iowa, you can't turn left to go east on K10. You have to go like all the way down 59 and then make a U-turn and then come back. It is the worst.
I was at Quick Trip, drove down 9th, and usually I can at least veer and go south to where I can,
Oh, yeah, 9th is terrible. Is it still blocked off?
Now it's worse, yes. Now it's worse. So now I don't know what my plan is.
Well, Henry Greenstein lives around there, and he's just the bane of his existence.
He's got to hate it for sure. After Case of the Mondays, we're going to hear from KU softball head coach Jennifer McFalls, Coach Mac, and the KU softball team. Dan, on to the NCAA tournament. They're heading to Norman. First time since 2015. We felt good after Kansas beat UCF. Of course, they got drubbed by Texas Tech in the semifinals. But a good win, a really good season, and now they get Michigan. So we'll hear from Coach McFalls as KU heads to Norman for that regional.
Yeah, they got an at-large, too, so they have a number by their name. They are the 8th seed in the regional, but you're heading down to Norman. Probably not the most exciting thing in the world.
Focus on Michigan.
You got to focus on Michigan. That's absolutely right. Oklahoma scares the hell out of me just because, and this is like they've had such a dynasty in softball that it's one of those conversations where you start to say, is Oklahoma in softball, like is Oklahoma bad for the sport of college softball?
Yeah,
like that's how good they have been over the last decade. So obviously that's terrifying. But hey, if Ella Boyer continues to hit bombs, if all the girls in the circle continue to be really good, then we'll certainly see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk to Jennifer McFalls and hear how that goes a little bit later in the show. Then we're going to close out the show talking a little Royals baseball. They went 4-3 on that crucial 7-game homestand. Both series started great and then ended terribly.
Yeah.
But still, 4-3, you probably would have taken that. One split of a series, one win of a 3-game series.
Played a walk-off on Friday, right?
They did. Kyle Isbell, lefty on lefty.
Shout
and
out.
then Jalen Atkins joining KU football as well. Preview that for us real quick.
Yeah, Jalen Atkins coming over from Coffeyville Community College. Shout out to the Jayhawk Conference. He is an interesting kid. He's 23 years old. Actually took a couple years off of football after high school to wind up working, then kind of got back into it. Spent a year at a D2 down in Oklahoma, and then wound up at Coffeyville Community College. And then, showed really good numbers over there in Coffeyville. Maybe a little bit undersized for a defensive tackle, but he will be joining this Kansas football team in the fall. So just another depth piece there at the defensive tackle spot.
More on that a little bit later, but we're going to recap this KU West Virginia series sweep. The Mountaineers came to town, and they made up for what happened to them in Morgantown last year as KU swept West Virginia. And then, of course, West Virginia still ended up winning the Big 12 percentage points. That was a whole mess. Well, WVU, they, as a program, heard about that for a while, and they came out and just dominated. Dan, we'll go through each of these games, but first, kind of your thoughts on the weekend that was. KU lost 4-1, 5-2, and then 13-2. So managed just 5 runs in 3 games. We knew it was going to be tough against a potent West Virginia pitching staff. Now KU still atop the Big 12 at 20-7. But West Virginia is 19-8, and then a couple teams technically still in the conversation. ASU and UCF are 17-10.
Yeah, look, Kansas is still a game up, right? And it's still kind of in their grasp a little bit. And Kansas has to obviously go out there and hopefully be able to sweep BYU. That is the main thing that you're focusing on right now. But if you look at this series, probably worst case scenario as to what could have happened against West Virginia. You kind of figured that the bats weren't going to be hot in those first 2 games just because Max Yell and their other guy were so good. Those two, that Friday-Saturday starter for West Virginia are so good. They're 2 of the best pitchers in the Big 12. You kind of figured that Sunday you were going to have to jump all over them, and that's not what happened at all. Kansas wound up losing 13-2 in just an unbelievable fashion. I'm not going to say Kansas laid down. I mean, there was just, a lot of different things happened in that game. But at the same time, you needed to win that Sunday game. You needed to jump out on them. Their Sunday guy was definitely not as good as the 2 starters that they had on Friday, Saturday. Friday's game, just kind of a heartbreaker. Just the bats weren't hot. Pitching staff kind of jumped all over them. Defensively, I thought Kansas was only okay. Don Begley pitched all right, but still gave up some runs. And then Saturday's game, you felt like that was the opportunity to really take that one. They did senior night that night. You had Mason Cook, who was excellent. He gave up a home run to Paul Schoenfeld, by the way, who's from Wichita. Big, I guess, I don't know, fan section for Schoenfeld. Schoenhall? I think it was Schoenhall. Huge support section over there, and he winds up hitting a home run dead center. Then you bring in Ryan Ritter, then you bring in Bodie Ray. Both those guys did okay, but Bodie Ray gave up a 2-run home run late in that game to kind of extend the lead. Kansas is only down 3-2 heading into the ninth. Bodie Ray gives up that 2-run home run. Just not great, obviously. I thought Bodie Ray, aside from that home run, and Coach Fitz talked about it on Saturday. He said, yeah, I mean, he obviously just wants that one pitch back, you know what I mean? But other than that, he thought he was really good throughout whenever he was in relief. Thought Mason Cook was really good too. A couple things in the Saturday game, though. Tyson LeBlanc hit a home run, and I believe it was the first inning. Josh Dykoff, inside the Parker, off of the center field wall, ricocheted, bounced back. He's not a fast guy.
Right.
He was moving.
You don't see a lot of first basemen doing that.
No. He was moving. So that was really cool to see. But again, Kansas wound up losing that one. And then the 13-2 loss on Sunday. You just can't allow that to happen, man.
The pride of Wichita, Paul Schoenfeld, having that big hit on Saturday. All right, look a little bit deeper Friday. And Brandon Perrell of KU Media Communications does a great job at sending updates, and he writes all the articles, recaps the games, and all that. And usually they're 3, 4, 5 pages long because Kansas has so many highlights, so much offense. But again, just 5 runs in 3 games. Kind of some succinct recaps, unfortunately, for KU. But on Friday, Hawks, who again entered this series ranked number 7 in the country. Now KU is 14 or 16, D1 Baseball America. West Virginia entered number 15 in the country, and the Mountaineers took the opener 4-1. Dom Vagley was solid. He gave up 3 runs on 6 hits in 6 innings. That's his 5th straight quality start for Vagley. He had 10 strikeouts and 2 walks. West Virginia, though, they struck first, solo homer in the first from Gavin Kelly. They would then take a 3-0 lead midway through the 4th. A Brady Ballinger sac fly was the lone run Friday for Kansas. That made it 3-1. But then WVU got another homer. It was Tyrus Hall, making it 4-1. And again, just not enough offense for KU. We're hoping to bounce back Saturday. Dan, you were out there Saturday, but it just wasn't in the cards as, again, aside from the 2 homers that we discussed, no offense for KU.
Yeah, and, Saturdays was really tough. Obviously, you had Paul Schoenfeld hit that home run in the first inning. His family's all going crazy. And then bottom of the first, Tyson LeBlanc right away hits a home run. I mean, now all of a sudden it's a 1-1 game. Mountaineers, they jump up ahead in the second inning to take a 2-1 lead, but then the Jayhawks tie it in the 5th with that Josh Dykoff inside the park home run. That's when you started to feel the tides turning. It was tied up, but then West Virginia comes in the 8th, and on an unearned run, it was an error on a throw, kind of a wild pitch throw to home. Not wild pitch, but a wild throw to home. Winds up scoring a guy at home. 3-2 was the lead. You bring in Bodie Ray after Ryan Ritter. Ritter was the one who, now Ritter didn't give it up, but Ritter was the one who was pitching when that unearned run wound up happening. And then you bring in Bodie Ray. Bodie Ray gives up a 2-run bomb in the top of the 9th, and it was just kind of over from there, right? So after the Josh Dykoff inside the park home run, you started to feel that momentum, but West Virginia just kept their foot on the gas and just kind of jumped all over Kansas's bullpen, which really was unfortunate because that was the one you needed to get back into the series and maintain a little bit of a lead to, where now if you would have won that one, you wouldn't have necessarily had to sweep BYU, right? It would have been obviously ideal, but now you're kind of sitting here thinking you got to sweep BYU in order to take care of business.
And on that Sunday finale, again, it got even uglier. Kansas offensively still not much. They scored just 2 runs, lost 13-2. It was an 8-inning affair Sunday, and again, a series sweep. Tyson Owens hit another homer. That's his 11th of the year, but that was the only offense for Kansas. Matisse Nayrall started in this game. You see 13-2. You're thinking, man, the starting pitcher absolutely blew up. That wasn't the case. Nayrall gave up 3 runs, but only 1 was earned in 4 2/3. So he did his job, striking out 5 and walking none. But against Reese Bassinger of West Virginia, no offense for Kansas. And the KU bullpen just really fell apart. Again, offensively, just 4 hits in the finale, a 13-2 loss. The bullpen, guys who have been solid all year, just did not have it yesterday. Toby Scheidt gave up 5 runs on just one hit in one inning. He had 3 walks and a hit batsman, so every base runner scored. You don't see that too often from Toby Scheidt. Cannon Carr gave up 3 runs on 4 hits in 2/3 of an inning. Manning West gave up a run, as did Carter Fink. So guys that have been very dependable just did not have it. And you got to credit West Virginia. Again, this is a team that felt like they earned the Big 12 championship last year. Kansas thought that Kansas earned the Big 12 championship last year, going up to Morgantown. Again, similar time of year. And sweeping that series did the Jayhawks, but the Jayhawks, due to percentage points, did not win the Big 12 title. West Virginia now 19-8, breathing down the neck of Kansas at 20-7. BYU lost a series this weekend, but still, Dan, a very formidable foe, and we'll preview this. Because BYU does not play athletic events on Sundays, this series is Thursday, Friday, Saturday up in Provo. So pitchers are going to be moved up. It's going to be very important for Kansas to, again, get another good outing from Vagley. You feel good that if you get similar outings from literally all of your starting pitchers, that you're going to have more success, because Kansas will score more than 5 runs up in Provo, and they're going to have to, because they're still trying to win this. If you go out, win the series, win the Big 12, then you can kind of wash this away.
Yeah, and looking at the standings right now, Kansas is a game up on West Virginia. West Virginia's, by the way, won 6 in a row. Arizona State, they're 17-10. Kansas, for what it's worth, they're 20-7. West Virginia is 19-8. Arizona State, they're 17-10. UCF also 17-10. So UCF right there on the heels of West Virginia and Kansas. Oklahoma State and TCU tied up at 16-11. I mean, they're not really in it right now.
Yeah, they're mathematically eliminated.
Yes.
But TCU is really good, and it's worth pointing out that while West Virginia goes home, that's who they face.
Exactly.
The Frogs are going to Morgantown.
Right, so it's going to be tough for them. Arizona State, let's see, who do they have coming up? My computer is... Please do not crash on me. Okay, there we go. So they actually have Houston at home, which Houston is just a dreadful baseball
they're
team.
in the conversation. They need Kansas to get swept again to the Sun Devils.
But BYU's not terrible. They're 13-14 right now in the Big 12. They have a 4.81 win percentage as of right now. BYU is 6-6 at home and 7-8 on the road, so they don't really have kind of a home field advantage. But at the same time, like you said, you're moving all the pitchers up a day, right? So you need to make sure that Don Bagley is ready to go on Thursday as opposed to on Friday. Rest up that arm and make sure that all these guys are going to be good to go.
And in regards to the postseason, because we've been talking Big 12 regular season implications for KU. Postseason, we talked about they're still in the top 16. D1 Baseball America are the Jayhawks. That's where you need to be. You need to be in the top 16, and now there's almost no wiggle room for Kansas. So win a series at BYU, I think you're probably fine. Of course, you still have the Big 12 tournament, but now that being in the top 8 seems really difficult unless Kansas probably wins out, you need to focus on staying in the top 16 and hosting regional at Hoagland Ballpark, because that's been the chatter, and this was just kind of a gut punch going down last weekend.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kansas right now, they have fallen to 22nd in RPI. I just looked this up. Is it based on RPI alone where the regionals are going to be? Is it also based on the rankings
My
from
understanding
D1 Baseball
is
and
it's
Baseball
a
America?
committee. We'll double check on that.
Sure.
Similar to what it is for basketball. But
either way, Kansas needs to go out and, just put pedal to the metal or against BYU. That's the way that they're going to be able to host a regional.
As long as you get the same Don Bagley, and he's proven now, like, this is not just a small sample size. He's been consistent. Then Kansas is going to be in the game on Thursday, and, like you said, that'd be a great one to win. So Big 12 regular season title still in conversation, and so is hosting potentially the regionals. But big series coming up to close out the regular season in Provo for KU baseball. And our KU Baseball Updates brought to you by our friends over at Custom Lawn and Landscape, customlawn.com. Check them out. Give them a call. They're scheduling consultations. Make sure that your lawn is looking its best as the spring and summer months are upon us. Nick Springer, Kansas City Sports Network, joins us after this. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com.
Summer starts at Crown Toyota. 2026 Camry models 3.99 APR. Get into a 2026 Prius plug-in hybrid for 1.99 APR. Adventure in every charge. The 2026 BZ Woodland, and CHR models now 0% APR.
Huge Memorial Day sale at Family Leisure. Unbeatable deals on pools, spas, patio furniture, and more. Jump into summer with exceptional deals on pools. Relax and unwind with unbelievable deals on hot tubs and swim spas. Sit in comfort with the highest quality patio furniture. Load up on all the summer essentials with the best chemicals, toys, and accessories. Memorial Day sale going on now at Family Leisure.
Where family and fun come together.
Together, we're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Elevate your University of Kansas experience with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Central Bank and KU, elevating together.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn, you want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your winter services today.
Miles Schneider and his team over at Crown Automotive on South Iowa will get you in the vehicle that you need. If you're looking for Toyota, Volkswagen, if you're looking for a used selection of anything else, they've got it over at Crown Automotive. Again, check them out if you're not local at crownautomotive.com. But if you are local, get over there, tell them the guys at Kansas Nation sent you, and check out their phenomenal selection. Taos, Tiguan, they've got Camry, Corolla, Tundra, RAV4, whatever it is that you need over at Crown. Miles has the best sales and service staff in the game. Let's bring on Nick Springer. Who? Kansas City Sports Network. Nick, thanks for joining us here in studio. We're talking KU baseball. We're talking KU basketball.
This guy's stealing my flow.
I know, man. Did I throw you off? How about that?
Unbelievable.
Nick, tough one over at Hoagland Ballpark. Final 3 games. Hopefully not the final 3 games of the season at Hoagland Ballpark, but really not what you wanted. You felt like you needed to get at least one from the West Virginia series, but KU scores just 5 runs in 3 games and gets swept.
Yeah, it was not an ideal series for Kansas at home. Obviously, still in good shape though. Still in first place in the Big 12. Going to go play BYU, a team that they should be able to handle. It is going to be on the road though, so I guess you never know. We'll see, but yeah, it's a little bit of a role reversal from last year. Kansas goes to West Virginia, sweeps West Virginia in Morgantown, which I can tell you that's not an easy place to play. From having been there in my experience covering KU. So
in your experience playing.
Yeah, my experience playing. Yeah. No, actually, one time when I was covering KU in Morgantown, and we had a hail delay.
Really?
Oh my gosh!
It's high elevation.
What did Jordan Gusky think of that?
I don't even know if he was. I don't know, to be honest. But yeah, it was. We had a hail delay. It hailed at the ballpark because they're up elevation.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. But anyways, fast forward to this past weekend. Yeah, West Virginia might have one of, if not the best 1-2 punches of starting pitchers in college baseball with their Friday, Saturday guys. And that bore out to be the case with KU on Friday and Saturday. And, you know, Kansas obviously struggled in the game against Creighton offensively, and so that probably hurt them too. That carried over into the series against West Virginia. So tough series for KU, but the biggest and most important thing I think for Kansas at this point, you want to win the Big 12 title, but going along with that is you want to host.
Yeah.
This program's never hosted a regional ever, and you want that to be an accomplishment that you have this season. And it's still possible. It's a lot less possible than it was 4 days ago, but it's still very much possible if you handle business against BYU, win the Big 12, go to the Big 12 tournament, pick up a few more wins there as well, then you're probably still going to be in the conversation for it. It is worth noting that last year, the Big 12 did not have a single team host a regional last year. Now, the reason I say that is because there were a lot of people that were upset about that. Coming into this year, could there be a little bit of an overcorrection from the committee of saying, like, hey, we kind of screwed the Big 12 last year. Like, okay, maybe we should probably help these guys out a little bit. And maybe that actually goes in KU's favor if they're sort of like right on the cusp of being in the conversation of that. Maybe they're saying, hey, you know what, we screwed over the Big 12 last year. Let's get somebody to host this year, and it could be Kansas. But, you know, Oklahoma State has a case for it. West Virginia, obviously, I think now would have a case for it too. So there's other schools that are involved in that conversation. But yeah, it would be a huge bummer, I think, for Kansas to not host a regional at this stage. I mean, it looked like they were surefire going to win the Big 12 heading into this weekend against West Virginia. Surefire going to have a chance to host. There was even some whispers about a super regional. What? And then that obviously went away very quickly. But the point being, like, that you want that to happen because that would be such a significant benchmark for the program, considering the fact that they haven't ever done it before. And obviously we know what kind of energy the students and fans can bring at Hoagland Ballpark. You know, despite the fact that Kansas got swept this weekend, the fan support was incredible. I was there Friday night. Saturday it was practically, I think it was sold out or damn near close to sold out Saturday, so for senior day. So, you know, the fan support is absolutely there. And, you know, this team, with the way they played over the course of this whole season, I think deserves that opportunity to play in front of the fans again in the postseason. Now, they'll have to go out and earn it, I guess, with their play against BYU and obviously the Big 12 tournament. So we'll see. But, yeah, stinger obviously of a weekend for KU.
Yeah, for sure. Nick Springer, KCSN, joins the show. One more baseball thing for you is that, you know, this is kind of the first time that we've seen this out of Kansas this year where they dropped two, I mean, especially at home. Like Kansas hasn't lost a home series in the conference at all this year, but they dropped two of the first three in a series, and they come out Sunday and just kind of lay an egg. A lot of errors. Kansas winds up losing 13-2, and you look at the kind of, you know, DNA of this team, and it's, you know, they don't worry about that stuff. They don't lay down. All they do is they focus on the next game, and these guys are kind of the comeback kids, right? I mean, they have over 25 come-from-behind victories on the year alone, right? And then they kind of do this. Do you think this is kind of a one-off, and do you think that, you know, I guess where's your panic meter at in terms of heading into Provo against BYU and potentially, you know, losing the Big 12 championship?
I don't know. I mean, panic's maybe a little bit of a strong word, I guess, you know, but at the start of the year, this KU team had some bad losses.
Yeah.
And then they were able to figure it out and go on a run. And really the offense, I think, to me, is the biggest takeaway. It's the offense faded, obviously, against Creighton, and that continued into the series against West Virginia. But, again, you're not going to be facing the type of pitchers West Virginia has on a game-to-game basis, certainly when you head to Provo. So, I wouldn't say that I'm too worried. You know, it's kind of funny, especially with baseball, right? Like when you win as much as KU is winning, you start to feel invincible, right? You start to feel like, you know, never gonna lose. Well, the best teams in baseball lose like 33% of the time.
Yeah.
Like you can be the greatest baseball team of all time, you're gonna lose 30% of your games. That's just how it goes. So it's more about how you respond. And unfortunately for Kansas, the response this weekend was not great after the loss to Creighton. You know, I don't know if that impacted them just in terms of kind of rattling their offensive confidence a little bit. And then on top of that, facing the pitching that West Virginia has. But I wouldn't say I'm panicking. I mean, you know, you're going to have a chance. You're definitely going to be in the postseason regardless of how the things end up. And, you know, you got humbled a little bit at home, and that's not always necessarily a bad thing, especially with the way it happened. And now you have a chance to still recover from that and still go out and take what's yours if you're KU. So not panicking. We'll see what happens in Provo. I think you guys mentioned earlier in the show, but, you know, BYU doesn't play on Sundays, so it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, which honestly is probably good for KU because graduation Sunday. So
I guess that's true.
Guys that are going to want to participate in graduation have a chance to do that still on Sunday. So that's kind of a cool thing. Although, you know, one of the coolest things that I liked about some of my experience with KU in the past is when KU would have their last home series of the year on graduation weekend, their guys would sometimes go take BP Sunday morning, like in their cap and gown.
Yeah,
really
isn't that great?
So that's kind of a cool thing that, you know, is always cool. But yeah, so we'll see what happens this weekend for KU. Again, you know, the biggest thing is, despite the losses to West Virginia and the sweep against West Virginia, again, everything's still in front of them, right? Like you go sweep BYU or win a series against BYU and you go perform well in the Big 12 tournament, you're going to win the Big 12 title. And again, you are going to be very firmly in the conversation to host a regional potentially, depending on how other things play out.
Nick Springer, Kansas City Sports Network, joins us here in studio. KU baseball, rough weekend at Hoagland Ballpark as they get swept by West Virginia. Now they focus on that Thursday, Friday, Saturday series in Provo against BYU. Nick, let's talk KU basketball. A couple additions to the roster since we last had you on, most notably Dennis Parker Jr. He comes over from Radford via NC State. Seems like he's definitely going to be a rotational piece. Your thoughts on his game to start?
Yeah, well, 53 points in a game earlier this year, that sounds pretty damn good to me. I mean,
Yeah.
Sign me up, right?
I'll take
And
that.
So,
That dog will hunt.
yeah, very, very good. The one thing I would point out is, you look at his three-point shooting, 30, just under 38% this past season at Radford. His three-point shooting was very, very poor at NC State prior to that. So I would just keep that in mind, right? Like 38% looks nice, but he might in reality be closer to like a 33, 34% three-point shooter. I don't know that he's going to hit 38% at KU because he was a 25% three-point shooter his freshman year at NC State. But yeah, this is a guy that has played at a previous Power 4 level at NC State, which I think is a bonus. And he's a guy that has several years of college basketball experience, which is nice because you start to look at this Kansas roster and you're going to be relying on a lot of guys that have not played in the Big 12 before. When you talk about Tyrants, whether it's true freshmen or whether it's transfers you brought in, you talk about Tyron Stokes, Taylor Kinney, you talk about Leroy Blyden. Like those are three guys, your most experienced players are going to be second-year Cole Rosario and second-year Paul Mbia. But you've gone out in the portal. You added Keanu Dawes, who obviously was at Utah and has a lot of Big 12 experience. You added Christian Reeves, who has a variety of experience at different levels. And now you've added Dennis Parker, who's got the college experience as well, which is good. The thing that I had in mind is, okay, with how things unfolded last year for KU, ultimately your 6th and 7th guys ended up being Marco Jackson and Jamar McDowell. Right now, on paper, if things unfold how you hope they would for Kansas, your 6th and 7th guys on this Kansas roster are going to be second-year Cole Rosario and Dennis Parker Jr.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but that's no offense to Marco Jackson and Jamar McDowell, but that's miles better.
Yeah.
Than
Bit of an upgrade, yeah.
from a strictly scoring perspective. From a strictly scoring perspective, that is miles better. Obviously, Marco and Jamari each had a few games here and there where they flashed scoring-wise, but it wasn't consistent. And at the end of the day, your bench was contributing such a low percentage of your scoring for Kansas. Right now, as we sit here, second week of May, obviously, long before the season, but again, on paper, it's looking like you've already significantly upgraded your scoring potential off of your bench in terms of your 6th, 7th guys. When you're talking about presumably either Cole Rosario or Leroy Blyden, right, is probably going to be your first guy, and then Dennis Parker as well off the bench, which I think is huge. And this is a guy that came off the bench previously, so he's somebody that I'm sure when Bill Self was recruiting him and when KU was talking to him, like they were being very honest with him, like, hey man, like this is your role. You're going to be off the bench, but we need you to be a scorer. And in terms of some of the other names that KU was linked to or looking for as at that position, is Dennis Parker maybe the best three-point shooter? No, but I think I can confidently say that I think he's the highest ceiling overall scorer. When you talk about a guy like Abdi Bashir, who KU was linked to, who, Jerome Tang at one point called the greatest three-point shooter in the country. Right. He shot the ball. He did shoot the ball very well at K-State, so credit where credit is due. But obviously hit some limitations defensively and not really proved too much of a scorer beyond his three-point shooting. You look at a guy like Victorious Miller, who KU was also linked to previously, had visited Kansas from Oklahoma State. Maybe gives you a little bit of a higher floor because of the fact that he previously was in the Big 12 at Oklahoma State in terms of off-the-bench scoring. But unequivocally, Dennis Parker gives you the highest upside bench scoring. I mean,
100%.
with what he – and I'm talking about scoring in totality. Again, his three-point shooting may not be as good, but just in terms of scoring in totality, he gives you a huge boost there. So because of that, I think if you look at the ceiling of him, it's a really strong addition for Kansas because this is what I think they needed. I mean, you look at the past really since 2020, basically, and this is not a end-all, be-all metric of success, but since 2020, Kansas has basically been in the bottom 50-ish of the country in bench minutes per game. They have not had much of a bench to speak of really for the last 4 or 5 years. And I think the season that epitomizes that the most is the 2023 season, in which Bill Self the whole year kept talking about how they have the greatest starting five in the country. Well, then attrition, injuries, those guys playing so many minutes wore down, and the whole thing was a house of cards at the end. So bench minutes is not an end-all. Your bench production does not equal automatic success, but it is something that Kansas has sorely missed, I think, over the past handful of seasons. And again, you've now set yourself up, I think, if we assume that Cole Rosario is going to take a step forward, plus the addition of Dennis Parker, you set yourself up to have the best potential bench scoring that you've had in the last 5 years, maybe. or since 2022, since the national championship team.
Yeah.
I guess would be probably the safest way to phrase that. So because of that, I think that's huge. That'll take a lot of pressure off of guys like Tyron Stokes, off of a guy like Leroy Blyden, who you want to talk about a guy that I think probably has the most pressure on him to be successful in Lawrence. It's Leroy Blyden, off Taylor Kinney, right? Like it's huge if you can have a guy that can consistently come off your bench and on a night-to-night basis give you, an 8 to 10 point boost off the bench, which is what I think Dennis Parker could reasonably give you. I mean, based off of how he performed last year at Radford. So now, obviously, Radford, not a good team last year. I think they went 500 last year, but they played three NCAA tournament teams over the course of 4 games: North Carolina, SMU, and then they played High Point, who was their conference champion. They played them twice in the regular season. Dennis Parker Jr. scored over 20 points in, I think, 3 of those games.
Yeah.
So against NCAA tournament level competition last season, he performed well. So that should give you some hope that he can be a guy who's going to step up off the bench and do what needs to be done. And also, he self-described himself as a two-way player, so he's going to bring some defense, which is, I'm sure, music to the ears of Bill Self and his staff as well. So given the circumstances, given the options that were still available, I think, for Kansas, you got the highest ceiling upside player, I think, that you could probably find. And, again, something else that needs to be brought into this conversation as well is the money side. Dennis Parker Jr., I would think, this is reckless speculation here, I would think Dennis Parker Jr. may have been the cheapest option of those 3 players I just mentioned, between Abdi Bashir and Victorious Miller and Parker Jr.
Yeah.
Parker probably was the cheapest option. So in this day and age, you're going to play a little bit of money ball sometimes, and we know that Kansas probably has already spent a significant majority of its budget when you talk about adding Tyron Stokes, Leroy Blyden, the other freshmen they have on the roster, Keanu Dawes, getting Paul Mbia back, right? Like, money was probably in the conversation as well for Kansas, and you got the highest upside guy for maybe the cheapest price. I mean, those numbers aren't really disclosed, but I'm just, again, speculating here. When you consider Bashir and McMillan being already at the Big 12 level, those guys probably were asking for a little more money than someone like Parker was. So that's a part of it too.
Yeah, I mean, that absolutely makes sense. Kind of a one-for-one replacement, but a little bit cheaper, and Kansas can kind of round out that roster nicely. Speaking of rounding out the roster, yesterday Kansas also got a commitment from Atticus Richmond. I believe it was on Saturday, actually. Atticus Richmond comes in. Interesting player, 8.8 points per game last year, 5.3 rebounds per game. He's 6'8", but just kind of another bench guy. What can you tell me about him and kind of how you think the end of this bench is kind of shaping up? Because you got Mordini back there. You have a few guys who are kind of filling out that back end of the bench, maybe some scout team guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is. I think we talked about this last week, but in the new day and age of NCAA rosters, you get 15 guys.
Yeah.
And 15 guys is all you get. And so a lot of teams, Kansas included now, are kind of doing this thing where, hey, you're going to have 3 or 4 guys at the end of your bench that are probably not going to play, but can be valuable in other ways in practice, scout team, things like that. When you talk about someone like Mordini, I think Atticus Richmond probably fits into this category as well. And sort of the era of the walk-on is gone pretty much.
Rip.
Basically. And so you want end-of-bench players that are still going to be able to fill out your roster. And so Atticus Richmond I think he's like a 4th generation KU legacy guy. Like it's like his grandparents and his dad. He's got a long lineage of KU history, I think. And so I think I saw there was a picture on social media of him as a kid with Bill Self. Actually,
Yeah, I saw that too.
Circulating around. So a KU guy, obviously, that is going to be somebody that's willing to maybe do some of that dirty work and be on the end of the bench at games and understand what his role is going to be coming to Kansas. That maybe he's not necessarily going to be a guy that's going to play at all, but still have play an important role on this roster. So that's kind of how I view that. And again, you need that, right? You need guys like that. Gian Gall is a great example for KU last season.
Yeah.
A veteran player. In the case of Atticus Richmond, not a veteran player, but just an example of a guy that KU brought in kind of with the expectation of like, hey, you're probably not going to play. But, we still need those extra bodies at the end of the bench to help us out. So, I think in this day and age when you have that roster of 15 players, like every player on your roster counts. Every player on your roster matters. And every guy, you need to envision a role for them, even if it's your 13th, 14th guy. They need to have a role planned out for them of how they can still positively impact your team. So That's kind of how I view it. And I think that gives KU 13 players now total. So again, you can still add 2 more, but there's no law that says you have to have 15. So you could just be done. They could just be done. This could just be the team. We'll find out if that's the case. But yeah, overall, I think for me at least, with the addition of Dennis Parker, you have your rotation. Like you have your team. You have your top 8, 9 guys. That's set. That's what it is.
Any level of concern for you with the Christian Reeves news that he's going to be out 4 to 6 months? Of course, it's still just May, like you said, but perhaps that gives our boy Paul Mbia a little bit of a leg up. Yeah, 'cause I think I agree from a rotation standpoint. And we said earlier in the show, KU's up to 6 in Torvik, which is really good to see because I trust those computer numbers with Torvik and Kempom more than I trust CNKU at 25 and some of these way too early polls or whatnot. I mean, it's showing that we got talent.
I am a little bit, I guess, I don't know, surprised maybe isn't the right term, but I guess fascinated by there does seem to be a pretty significant rift right now between like the, I guess, like national like pundits, I guess, of how they view this Kansas offseason versus, as you mentioned, some of the data, right? Like the way too early 2027, Torvik has KU at 6. Versus like, you have Jeff Goodman parading around talking about how like he's worried that like KU had a bad offseason, or something.
Right.
So I don't know. That's something to monitor, I guess. And I think what that tells me is that this Kansas team has a lot of potential, right? You talk about a guy like Tyron Stokes, who again could be a 20 points per game, #1 draft pick type guy. You talk about a guy like Taylor Kinney, who could be a real facilitator, point guard type player. You talk about a guy like Leroy Blyden, who if he comes over and is shooting 40% from 3, like he was at last season at Toledo, it can be an electric scorer. You've got a really high floor player at the 4 with Keanu Dodds. Like, you've brought in Dennis Parker. What kind of step can Cole Rosario take in his second season? What kind of step can Paul Mbia take in his second season? So I think that to me that reflects a lot of ceiling for this team. But again, if you take the glass half empty view, very easy to poke holes, I think, right now, and the potential of the team as well. If, hey, the freshmen don't pan out, Leroy Blyden struggles, if your 5 spot becomes an issue where Paul Mbia is not good enough and Christian Reeves isn't good. There's ways to look at this raw, and across the country, outside of like Florida and Duke, you can look at most teams and find plenty of holes.
Yeah,
it's May.
For sure.
Right.
It's the second week of May. That's what we're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, as it relates to Christian Reeves, obviously that's a bummer, but I do think it's, in a weird way, I mean, think about it. Guy played an entire season with a torn labrum and was still producing.
He's pretty good, yeah.
29 and 18, double-double late in the year playing with a torn labrum. So, like, that's pretty cool that, he played through that. And, also it shows the level of toughness that I think you like if you're Kansas.
That's what we lacked last year, yeah.
We'll see if it sets him back at all in terms of, I don't know what the timeline is in terms of recovery from that injury. Again, not a doctor, just sometimes play one on a podcast. So I don't know. I don't know what the timeline of the injury is, anything like that. But yeah, it's exciting for my guy Paul. Obviously, I don't know that there's anybody that's done more for Paul besides his agent than me. So maybe I should get a cut of some of that negotiations that they had. But no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, exciting times for Kansas. And again, I think I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this here with you guys before, but I had this thought of, I do wonder, or I do think that maybe there are some Kansas fans that are feeling a bit more pessimistic because last year you had Darren Peterson, who's the #1 player in the country, and obviously that whole saga unfolded. And I wonder if there's not some PTSD among some people from that to say like, well, Tyron Stokes is the #1 player, but I mean, look what just happened last year. Like we just had the #1 guy last year. Look what
is he even gonna play?
Like I think there might be a little bit of extra pessimism around that maybe otherwise wouldn't be there if KU hadn't had Darren Peterson last year around Tyron Stokes, because he's the #1 player, right? And when you have the #1 player, that's a very exciting thing. But I do wonder if there's people that are sitting back thinking, yeah, we got the #1 guy, but we had the #1 guy last year, and look what happened. So obviously Tyron Stokes is a totally separate player from Darren Peterson, totally separate thing, and so I think he deserves just as much of an opportunity to prove himself and why he is an elite player as Darren Peterson did. And we'll see how things go. But and by the way, Darren Peterson may still end up getting drafted #1, so who knows?
Yeah. It is interesting though too, because with the portal now, it's like we're not talking near as much as we normally would be regarding KU having the number 1 freshman class.
Yeah.
Because everyone's worried about portal classes. Like, hey, just so you guys know, Tyron Stokes would be a top 10 player in the portal this year at least.
Well,
so
He'd have been the best player in the portal.
I mean,
Well, and it's actually kind of funny even still that's the case because, I mean, last year in college basketball, there were so many freshmen that were lighting it up.
Yeah.
I mean, like a lot of the top freshmen were really, really playing very, very well over the course of the season. You think about like DeBanza, Cameron Boozer, Caleb Wilson before he got hurt,
Burries,
the kid from Arkansas, Acuff.
Yeah.
There was a lot of freshmen that were playing at a high level for a large majority of the season last year, which maybe even adds more to the grrr of Darren
I
Peterson.
guess so,
that,
yeah.
he wasn't, he wasn't in that conversation because he wasn't able to play that much. So
yeah, for sure. Nick Springer, Kansas City Sports Network. Anything we need to be on the lookout for on KCSN? You and our boy, Shreyas Latta?
Yeah, I think we're going to be talking to Dan Fitzgerald at some point in the near future, probably after the regular season, about, a lot of what we talked about here today and what KU's chances are for the postseason. So there'll be some extra KU baseball coverage on our site. We're going to be continuing our roster breakdown post-spring of KU football, and obviously any breaking news that happens with Kansas basketball and other things. So, yeah, we've got some more interviews scheduled, some more guests scheduled. So be sure to check out our work, Kansas Jocks KCSN, on YouTube, where you can leave a comment, tell us we suck, and then go about your day, and we'll read it and be sad.
I do that every day, by the way.
You'll be sad, but you'll be happy about the comment.
Right,
So
we'll be happy about the comment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what is it? All publicity is good
Yes,
publicity?
exactly.
All
That's how it works.
all
you
engagement
comment,
is good
if
engagement.
100 people comment how terrible we are, then I'll take it.
Yeah,
100
fair
eyeballs,
enough.
yeah, 200
Fair enough.
eyeballs, I
Nick
guess.
Springer, Kansas City Sports Network. Appreciate you, man. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
More coming up. We're talking KU basketball after this on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn. You want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your winter services today.
The 2026 Volkswagen Atlas, now 2.9% APR, or choose a $3,500 customer bonus. Get up to a $2,500 customer bonus on 2026 Tiguan models. This is what the good life looks like.
Hustle in and save hundreds on Hustler Turf Raptor mowers and Hustler Turf Fast Track mowers. Heinen Repair and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment through May 31st. Restrictions apply. See Heinen for complete details. Durable Hustler residential zero-turn mowers are powered by Kawasaki V-Twin Performance Engine. Buy what the pros buy, where the pros buy during the Hustler Spring Sales event at Heinen Repair, south of Valley Falls, and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence.
With Heinen, there's always hope for your yard.
Hello, it's Mark Whitlow from Office Products Alliance. OPA is not just your local office products connection. We have expanded our offerings to network cabling installation, security cameras, door access, and IT services. We all need to keep pace with new technologies. You can trust a Kansas City company that has been your partner for 32 years. Check us out at opakc.com. Supporting local businesses and our community is more important than ever.
Together, we're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Elevate your University of Kansas experience with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Central Bank and KU, elevating together.
Haney and the Hawks is presented by Jefferson's with 2 Lawrence locations, home of the best wings in town, 21 signature sauces. You got to check them out. But if wings aren't your thing, how about a burger? They hand patty their certified Angus beef every single day. Also hand bread their tenders. They make their ranch in-house. There is truly something for everybody at Jefferson's. Go see my buddy Brandon Graham and the entire crew at Jefferson's, either on Mass or Wakarusa in Lawrence, Kansas.
Always great seeing Nick Springer.
Yeah. Who?
He is something. Kansas City Sports Network. Great insight, though. KU baseball, KU basketball. Appreciate him coming on every Monday here on Rock Chalk Sports. Tomorrow, we are going to have David Lesky via Zoom inside the Crown to talk Royals baseball. Give him a subscription, insidethecrown.substack.com. Keep you up to date on everything going on with the Royals. We'll give you a brief update at the end of this show as well, but Lesky's a great guest. He knows everything about it. I know that he was going to the game yesterday with his mom, and the Royals lost, but they got to be featured on Sunday Night Baseball, which is cool, on Peacock.
That's really cool.
So there is that, but Tigers got him in the series finale. Royals still won the series. Again, lost last night 6-3.
By the way, shout out to Elijah for getting us
Yes.
this fun new bobblehead. It's Vinny.
It's so awesome.
It's Vinny and Bobby Witt Jr. Oh, there it is. Vinny and Bobby Witt Jr. They're playing rock, paper, scissors, and their arms come off, and you can switch them. I have a bunch of the arms over here. So shout out to Elijah he went to the game on Friday. They were doing this giveaway.
That is so cool.
He
Seriously.
said, I got you guys. This is perfect for the desk. So
It
shout
is.
out,
It
man.
is.
Thanks, Elijah.
I like the depth.
That's fun.
And
That's fun.
I am kind of weirdly coming around to the City Connect uniforms.
Yeah,
I hated them at first, but now I'm kinda coming
They
around.
look good, and the Royals play some good baseball when they wear them too.
That's true. That has worked out well. Dan, tell us about Custom Lawn and Landscape before we talk Atticus Richmond.
I would love to, Sean. I was asleep last night, and I had a dream.
I'm just glad you got some sleep.
This is kind of a recurring dream that I have, where I'm laying down in a field, and I'm looking up at the sky, and I see all the clouds, and I'm laying on a plush, green, healthy
cave-like
lawn. No, just a plush, green, healthy patch of grass, and I roll over, and what do I see? I see a custom lawn sign sticking up from out of the ground, and it turns out it's not a dream. It's actually just my neighbor's yard, and they keep on calling the cops. But that's what it feels like. It feels like a dream because their lawn is so plush and green and healthy. And if you want your lawn to be the envy of the neighborhood, check out customlawn.com.
I don't think plush is what we're going for. I think we're going for lush.
Lush?
We're talking lawn. Yes.
It could be plush, too. I was laying down on it. It was plush.
Okay. Well, whatever it is. Custom Lawn and Landscape, partners of us here at Kansas Nation. Check them out, customlawn.com. Schedule an appointment as needed. Get your lawn looking the best it can here with summer upon us. All right, KU basketball news. We plugged this a little bit with Springer last segment, but KU adding on Saturday a prep player in Atticus Richmond. He committed to KU originally about a year ago. He committed to Columbia. So instead of going to play ball in the Ivy League, he's coming to Lawrence. According to Max Preps, he averaged 8.8 points and 5.2 rebounds per game on a team that won its first ever national prep championship at the Newman School in Boston. He has kind of floated around a couple different places, prep school, high school, that sort of thing, but announcing on Instagram on Saturday that he will be coming to KU. Dan, what else can you tell us about Atticus Richmond and your thoughts on this addition?
Yeah, kind of an interesting player, right? He's tall. He's 6'8", comes from a KU family, came from Chicago land, as Henry Greenstein likes to say, because apparently they get mad at you if you come from a suburb of Chicago and you say they're from Chicago. So around Chicago, but wound up playing at Newman School in Massachusetts. Actually, him and Grant Mordini played against each other last year in prep school. Atticus Richmond's team wound up winning the game. I have some stats on Atticus Richmond for you, and again, kind of take these as you will, but last year at Newman School, 8.8 points per game, 5.3 rebounds per game, 1.8 assists per game, shot 66% on twos, but only 29% from the three-point line. Also had a season high of his season high in points was 16 points, and his season high in rebounds was 11 points as well. Interesting addition, obviously just kind of rounding at the bench, right? I mean, I don't expect Atticus Richmond to be an impact guy. Now, granted, who knows, right? But at the same time, kind of a mix between a little bit of a 3 He has the size to be able to play the 4. I would imagine they're going to kind of have him sort of at that wing spot. But just another nice addition. And granted, the kid is really good at basketball. He played at prep school, right? Played against some really talented players and, wound up putting up some okay numbers, especially inside of the arc. So, again, when you talk about scout team players going up against your number ones, the Tyron Stokes of the world, the Leroy Blydens of the world, the Dennis Parker Jr.'s, right? The defensive upside has to be there because you need to give these guys a challenge. And I think Atticus Richmond would potentially be able to do that and sort of, and I talked about this, kind of that iron sharpens iron thing with Grant Mordini down low, right? You got to probably put a little bit of weight on you, but again, at the same time, right, that you should know what your role is going to be, and that's I'm going to come into Kansas to make these other guys better, right? He's not going to come in and be a starter for Kansas right away and be putting up 20 points per game, right? If he does, fantastic. That would be incredible, right? But the role I would imagine is right now, end of the bench player, scout team guy, but that's not nothing, right? Your role is to essentially make these guys better in practice.
I think in this past week, and this isn't as much Atticus Richmond related as it is Dennis Parker Jr. related, when I look at this Kansas team, it's been the first time that I'm like, all right, this team's better than last year's team. Because we had a lot of players that we had to replace from last year. And last year's team was a solid team. I mean, beat some of the best teams in the country, particularly at Allen Fieldhouse, played really well. And you had to replace Darren Peterson, Melvin Council, Trey White, et cetera, et cetera. But now I look at this team, and maybe this is in a way related to guys like Richmond and Mordini. Those are better basketball players than Kansas had at the end of the bench the last couple years.
Yeah.
No disrespect, and we love everything that Ginyu Gala and Justin Cross did for this program and that sort of thing. And maybe Will Thingvall will be back. And, I know that he's well-liked by the coaching staff and everybody around KU. But I think the talent in the gym is going to be upped big time from last year overall. You really, really don't love using this saying because it seems like kind of a slight. But if I said Melvin Council Jr. and Trey White were really good college players, then you would probably agree with that. They're really good college players. Hopefully they go on to the NBA, play professionally, G League, overseas, whatever it might be. I think this Kansas team has a lot of guys who could play in the NBA someday. Yeah. And that includes guys like Trent Perry and Luke Barnett, honestly. So when you look, and you're probably not going to get a lot of minutes, if any. Who knows what redshirting looks like for guys like Mordini, and who knows how many minutes you'll get from a guy like Atticus Richmond. But when I'm thinking about practice, we're talking about practice here. When I'm thinking about practice, you have so much more talent. The scout team, like we talked about, again, not to disrespect the guys that were at the end of the bench the last couple of years, but this is going to be a little bit different. I mean, you're going to have your starting 5, which, for argument's sake, let's say that's Kenny. I'll throw Parker in there, even though I know that some people think that he'll be a bench guy. I'll say Kenny, Parker, and then you've got Stokes, Dawes, and Mbia. I mean, you've got Cole Rosario, you've got Leroy Blyden. Christian Reeves can play, and he's huge, 7'2". And by the way, you've got other 4-star guys off the bench, not just Perry and Luke Barnett. You've got Davion Atkins, who could be an NBA big at some point. I just think the talent pool is so much deeper on this KU team now. And again, it took us a while to get here. We had a few weeks where we didn't have any players.
Yeah.
And we knew it was going to come, but it seems like Bill Self has done it again, to where he's been able to kind of clean house, and he wants to win more than anybody else, and he's as frustrated with the last 3 seasons as anybody else. I just think, and you're thinking a little best case scenario, I understand that, but if you get the leaps from Rosario and Mbia and get the contributions that you could envision from these other guys, and certainly this is a more talented team. Yeah,
I think so, right? Especially, like you said, when you look at the scout team, right? That's really what makes these guys better, right? They play whatever it is, 30-plus games every single year, but these guys are practicing every single day, and if you're practicing against bad practice players, then you're not getting any better, right? When you look at the practice players from last year comparatively to this year, right? When you look at just the sheer amount, I'm especially looking at the wing spots right now, right? Where you have Barnett as a shooting guard. He's going to light it up at practice. You know that, right? Dennis Parker Jr. is going to light it up at practice. Trent Perry, he's a really nice player, kind of at that 3 spot, could potentially play the 2 spot. You got Atticus Richmond coming in, right? Davion Atkins is going to be nice. You know, him and Keanu Dawes are probably going head-to-head in practice every single day. You got Reeves and Mbia and Mordini down low, right? I don't really know what the matchup is honestly going to look like at the point guard position, just because you don't really have sort of that third point guard, right? You have Tay Kenny, you got Leroy Blyden, probably as your secondary ball handler.
Addition, I'm sure, is a smaller guard.
That's the thing. And you have 2 spots left, right? Probably you're going to get a Giangallo type style of player. And like when I mean that, I mean a literally like exactly like probably that, you know, hopefully a veteran kind of guy who has been around college basketball for a long time, sort of that, you know, court general kind of guy who can come in and give you a really solid scout team player. Because I remember last year that Melvin might have said this, that Giangallo was doing a great job of like locking up Darren in practice, and he was making Darren that much better in practice, right? That's the kind of guy that you need. Not a guy who's going to give you an impact, but a guy who's going to make everybody else better. Like I said, right now, it's kind of weird when you look at it from the ones compared to the scout team. You don't really have that second guy who can bring up the ball and give Tay Kenny a run for his money, right? Unless you want to try a lineup without Leroy Blyden, then you can throw Leroy Blyden onto the scout team just for the fun of it and then have them kind of go head-to-head, which I think would be a good way, again, kind of that iron sharpens iron, make them take rotations in terms of scout team versus starting guys just kind of working with each other. So I think that's interesting. But, yeah, I mean, looking at it, like I said, Kansas, they have 2 open roster spots right now, and I don't know if you want to, you know, kind of break down in terms of position, but as of right now, you got Tay Kenny and Leroy Blyden probably as your ones. I'm going to say Leroy Blyden at the 1 just because probably the backup 1, right? Yeah. Then you have your shooting guard. I'm going to throw Blyden in there as well as the 2 guard. You also have Rosario. You have Dennis Parker Jr. You have Luke Barnett. Small forward, you have Tyron Stokes, Trent Perry, Atticus Richmond. Probably could throw Dennis Parker Jr. in the small forward spot as well. Power forward, you got Keanu Dawes and Davion Atkins, and then the center position you got Paul Mbia, Christian Reeves, and then Grant Mordini. So you know, again, this roster is shaping up really well, and just looking down the line, you said it. Look at last year's roster. How many of those guys are making the NBA? You had Darren Peterson. You kind of go, okay, well, Melvin's a nice player. I don't think he has NBA caliber talent. Trey White was kind of built like an NBA style of guard, but needed to fix a couple of things, I think. And maybe he'll get bounced around the G League. Maybe he'll get a shot, right? Hopefully he gets to play overseas, and I hope the best for Trey White, right? You look at the power forward position. Bryson Tiller was built like an NBA kind of guy, but not nearly tough enough. Floyd Bidunga, again, undersized center. You look at this roster. I mean, take Kenny and Tyron Stokes. Those guys are NBA guys. Right, Leroy Blyden, he has an NBA style of game. You look at Trent Perry, right? Again, if he gets a lot better, if he gets to the ceiling that I think that he can have, he can be an NBA guy. Davion Atkins, for sure. Keanu Dawes, I think, has the toughness and the capability and the shooting to be able to make an impact at the next level, right? Cole Rosario, again, I think he has NBA potential. So, looking at it right now, you have more pros, which that was one of the things. It's not an analytical thing, right? Where you look at it and you go, oh, that guy's going to be a pro, this guy's not going to be a pro. But you can see it. You can see the talent level, and you say, this team has more pros, potential pros, than last year. That's why I think this team is shaping up to be better.
And you got to have pros if you want to go deep in March. You want to have a high ceiling. Interesting about this roster, Reeves, Parker, and Dawes are all seniors. Everybody else is either a freshman or a sophomore. So, yes, we understand that you can't necessarily look forward and dream big as we have in the past, looking forward to future years, but you never know. I mean, hopefully Cole Rosario has a fantastic season. If not, would love to have him back as a junior. Same with Paul Mbia. And then you assume Stokes is gone, Kenny's gone, but Luke Barnett, Trent Perry, those guys could be back as sophomores. Leroy Blyden could be back as a junior. So you never know. And again, you have to hesitate before you ever talk about that, given today's day and age. But seriously, there's a lot of young talent on this Kansas team. I think that when you look at this, unquestionably, the most important player for Kansas is Tyron Stokes. That's not going to be a hot take by any stretch. He's going to have to be as good as advertised.
Yeah.
I think the second most important player for Kansas is Tay Kenny. I think Tay Kenny, who again is a fellow 5-star, it can go a lot of different ways, as we've seen. We've talked about those guys. Marco Jackson was a McDonald's All-American. Josh Selby was a McDonald's All-American. A lot of other guys. It didn't work out. Tay Kenny needs to be closer to a Devon Dotson type, to where he is an impact guy. And Devon, was here for 2 years, didn't have the size that Kenny had in terms of, those extra couple inches to potentially draw the eyes of NBA scouts. But I think this Kansas team is going to need Tay Kenny to play like a first-round NBA draft pick as well, because then you've got two real guys, if that happens. Two guys who are going to get taken in the NBA draft. And then, I think you're going to have enough scoring elsewhere, because Dawes is going to be solid. Blyden is going to fill it up. And I think with the addition of Dennis Parker Jr., you have the offense that you need, because you have natural scorers on the wing and Blyden and Parker, and then you expect to jump up from Rosario there as well. So that's in addition to those 2-star freshmen. You've got natural scorers. And again, you're not going to get nothing from guys like Dawes. I think at times we've brought up Landon Lucas. Landon Lucas didn't score a lot of points. Dawes is going to score a lot more points. And with Dawes and Reeves and hopefully Big Paul, who we think will rebound at the rate that Dawes and Reeves did last season, now that Paul is going to get a chance to play more, that's a lot of extra possessions for Kansas. More possessions means you get more shots, more opportunities to score. Yeah. So I just like how this is rolling out. And it's been kind of fun these past 4 or 5 weeks, rolling these guys out one at a time, and now kind of looking holistically at the roster, saying, I think we've got the guys that we need. No, it's not Florida returning 3 guys from a team that was a 1 seed. It's not Duke returning 4 guys who might go to the first round. I understand that. Not everybody's going to have that. But Kansas kind of needed to clean house after how the last couple seasons have gone, with some guys that stayed over. And yeah, I think they've done it again. They've found a way to get a team. And this team, in addition to having more pro-type guys, is going to be a lot tougher. When you talk about Stokes and Dawes and Big Paul, I'm really, really excited about that. Rosario, too. So lots to look forward to.
When you've had the weekend to sleep on it, and I believe the last time we played this game was on Friday. Let's play the game. Name that starting 5. Has your starting 5 changed? Because the last time that you had your starting 5, it was Kenny, Rosario, Stokes, Dawes, and Mbia. Has anything changed? Do you think Leroy Blyden
sure?
might?
I think I had Rosario off the bench.
Did you have Rosario off the bench?
I think I did.
I copied and pasted this from Thursday.
Yeah,
So that's what, and this is your.
That's the question mark, right? That's the only spot, right? Because you got Kenny at the 1, Stokes at the 3, Dawes at the 4, Big Paul at the 5. The 2, man, it's so tricky. But I do think Kansas will get another small guard as a end of bench piece, because like you talked about earlier with Kenny and Blyden, I don't want to say you don't have another ball handler, because Stokes will have the ball a lot in transition. Yeah. Some other guys potentially, but Kenny and Blyden are your on-the-ball guys. I think because of that, Blyden might be relegated to the bench, at least to start. I kind of like, I don't know, I can't decide.
Do you think
it's either Rosario or Parker at the 2 if I'm going with that mindset?
Do you think if the 5 spot is such a massive question mark for this Kansas roster, and if Paul Mbia does not develop at the rate that Kansas needs him to, and if Christian Reeves is still battling with an injury, do you think that we can see maybe a lineup that we see? We talked about it with small ball. Whenever you need it, whenever you need scoring, do you think we could see it being the default, where all of a sudden you see Keanu Dawes playing the center, because he can, right? He's the same size, same height as Flory Badunga was last year. He also played the 5 spot for Utah last year. And then Stokes sliding down to the power forward position, but playing a stretch 4. That way you can get also Leroy Blyden and Cole Rosario on the court at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah, that'll happen at times. And that's going to be, honestly, a battle for not just those guys, but for Paul and for Reeves to stay on the court, because that small ball option is definitely going to be there, because Dawes and Stokes, really good rebounds, especially you had Rosario in there, then you're going to be able to rebound even if you don't have the size from a standing height standpoint. So, yeah, I think that's the most interesting question going into the season, is the 1 and the 2 spot. Kenny probably starts at the 1. You're going to need him to, honestly, from a talent standpoint. You're going to need him to start at the 1 and, like I said, play like an NBA first-round talent. Who's it going to be at the 2? Rosario, Parker, Is Blyden going to find a way to be a starter? You know, you're getting some things and giving up some things no matter who it is, but it's great having options. It's great having depth. And no disrespect to Marco Jackson and Jamari McDowell, but Kansas depth isn't going to be Marco Jackson and Jamari McDowell to where that's the 6th and 7th guys. I mean, these are guys who are proven scorers. Rosario is tough. He attacks the glass. So I like it a lot. And we'll talk more KU basketball, of course, as the roster continues to get fine-tuned. And it'll be here before we know it, late night in the fog. Trust us on that. Hey, after this, though, we're going to do our Case of the Mondays segment. Make sure that we catch you up on everything going on in the world of sports. That's coming up next. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com.
Haney and the Hawks is presented by Jefferson's with 2 Lawrence locations. Home of the best wings in town. 21 signature sauces. You got to check them out. But if wings aren't your thing, how about a burger? They hand patty their certified Angus beef every single day. Also, hand bread their tenders. They make their ranch in-house. There is truly something for everybody at Jefferson's. Go see my buddy Brandon Graham and the entire crew at Jefferson's, either on Mass or Wakarusa in Lawrence, Kansas.
Hustle in and save hundreds on Hustler Turf Raptor mowers and Hustler Turf Fast Track mowers. Heinen Repair and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment through May 31st. Restrictions apply. See Heinen for complete details. Durable Hustler residential zero-turn mowers are powered by Kawasaki V-Twin Performance Engine. Buy what the pros buy, where the pros buy during the Hustler Spring Sales event at Heinen Repair south of Valley Falls and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence.
With Heinen, there's always hope for your yard.
Summer starts at Crown Toyota. 2026 Camry models 3.99 APR. Get into a 2026 Prius plug-in hybrid for 1.99 APR. Adventure in every charge. The 2026 BZ, BZ Woodland, and CHR models now 0% APR.
Together, we're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Elevate your University of Kansas experience with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Central Bank and KU, elevating together.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports. Hey, hustle in and save hundreds on Hustler mowers, Heinen Repair, and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment.
Hope.
Through May 31st, restrictions apply. Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment. Hope. Partners of us here at Kansas Nation. Daniel Courtwright.
Yes.
It is time to do our Case of the Mondays segment.
Yeah.
What is going on in the world of sports?
So I wanted to start off here. It's Case of the Mondays for me because if you were in and around the city of Lawrence over this past weekend, you may know that the All-American Rejects did a pop-up show here in Lawrence on Friday at the TP up north. You're familiar,
yes,
obviously, with the All-American Rejects. That was like your time frame, like kind of in college.
Yeah, what's
too,
their
maybe.
most what's the base hit?
Dirty Little Secret.
Yeah, Dirty Little
Gives
Secret.
You Hell, Move Along.
Yeah. Oh no, I love all those songs.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. It was really cool. So, but here's the thing. It was a pop-up. So they've been doing this thing where they're doing like house party shows where essentially like you sign up for like a text service or whatever. And I think I actually talked about this maybe like around August or September or something. They've been doing this for a while. They're on a house party tour where essentially they text you and they're like, hey, we're doing a concert tonight, first come, first serve. You got to show up. They texted at 5:50 p.m., so pretty much 6 o'clock p.m., saying, hey, the door's open at 7. So me and my fiance, we got this text, and we were actually on a walk during that time. And so we said, you know what? We're going to do it. We're going to go. So we go. We get all showered. We get all dressed. We show up to the TP, and the line wraps the way around. It is probably like a quarter-mile long line. Just unbelievable.
What were they doing here?
What were they doing here?
Yeah.
Playing a concert.
Yeah, I know, but what brings them to Lawrence, Kansas?
I think they're just stopping through.
Stopping for a pop-up show. That's great.
Stopping through for a pop-up show. And we stood there. We got there around like 7:30. All of a sudden, 9:20 rolls around. They were supposed to go on at 9. 9:20 rolled around. We move all the way up in the line. There's about 20 people in front of us. We are maybe 25 feet away from the door to get in.
Yeah.
The guy comes out and says, hey, we're at full capacity.
Are you kidding me?
So we wait
You
there for
wasted your
almost
entire
2
night.
hours.
Did you go to Texas Roadhouse after?
So, no, here's the thing. They said, hey, there's a chain link fence on the back side. You guys can run over there and try to catch the show. So we ran over there. We were standing on the chain link fence for a little bit. Kind of hard to hear.
Yeah.
It was a little bit far away. But we stood there for a little bit. Heard a little bit. They weren't on a stage, by the way. They were just like on the ground.
Yeah, that's
so
not
like
helpful.
we couldn't see anybody.
Right.
All we could see was just the backs of everybody's heads having a good time. And so we stayed there. We heard Dirty Little Secret. Then I walked around, and there's like a wooden fence that was about up to my eyebrows. And so I could peek my eyes over, and we were right behind where they were playing. So that was really cool. I wish I should have put that picture up. I don't have the picture on, but it was really cool. I'll show you afterwards. But again, we were just kind of standing outside.
Right.
It was kind of like a weird thing where you're
Was
like,
it worth it? Did you
you're
hear
like,
anything?
Man, we heard it so we heard them play Move Along, and we were right behind the band.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. That was fun. But then we were like, also, we're not in there.
Right.
So it's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
So we just left after like 5 songs.
Did you go get some food?
We ate beforehand.
Okay.
So we didn't go get some food, but I went, had some drinks at home, and then I just spent my Friday night just at home watching that 70 show.
It's a fun story there.
It was actually a really fun time. Like I actually really enjoyed it. It was it was kind of fun, but at the same time, like we stood in line for 2 hours, didn't get in. Like I was so frustrated.
No, that's like my worst case scenario.
should be.
I hate wasting time.
I was really mad, but again, we got to see a little bit of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I could watch them straight from behind if I was standing on my tippy toes for a long time.
Yeah.
Kind of hurt my legs. So yeah, it sucked.
Cool
It sucked that we didn't get in. I even bought a T-shirt beforehand too, and just didn't even get in.
Wear it on the show at some point.
I will. I'll wear it tomorrow. But yeah, that sucks.
We don't like that. Also, we don't like the fact that it's our last slow pitch softball game of the spring season tonight.
That's right.
6:15.
Yeah, man.
Then we have a couple weeks off before summer starts, but we lost the first game, have not lost since then.
Rip. Yeah, I know. Well, and
make sure we get ready.
Apparently, the way that it works, if we score 12 runs today, then we win the championship.
Is that true?
And we win.
Is this something in the group me?
Yeah, somebody texted that, I think.
Okay, well, let's try to score a dozen then.
All right.
Keisha, yeah, this is related to Hoagland Ballpark. Hopefully this is a problem.
Yes, hopefully this is a problem. So this is from Andrew Lind. Shout out to Andrew Lind. Friend of the show. Haven't had him on, but we know him relatively well. Super tall guy, works for WIBW. Apparently, KU, if they host the regional at Hoagland Ballpark, we are going to know on May 24th. But when the regional will be hosted at Hoagland Ballpark is also the same time that the Keisha State Baseball Tournament is going to be hosted there as well. Yep. Again, a good problem to have if you're a Kansas fan, but if you're a high school baseball fan, probably not. Now, here's the thing. They can always do that at K-State. I mean, they're going to be available.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
They don't have to worry about that.
But, yeah, also, apparently, Andrew Lind reached out to Keisha, said that there is an alternate site at another college that is secured if KU does wind up hosting.
Another college? That sounds specific.
So he doesn't say which
Right.
college. It probably would be K-State, I would only imagine.
That would be hilarious.
Maybe Wichita State.
Could be.
I guess Wichita State, their baseball facility is very nice.
Yeah.
I think it holds more than Hoagland, if I'm not mistaken. I would imagine it does, because it's a very nice baseball facility. So that would make sense if they were to do that. But yeah, all the high schools have been informed, by the way. But yeah, kind of case of the Mondays for them, because, I don't know. They probably didn't anticipate, or I guess you probably didn't think Kansas was at least going to be hosting a regional, and for the first time ever in program history, that's usually been open, right?
Yeah, significantly more seating at X Stadium than Hoagland.
That makes sense.
It's almost 8,000 at X Stadium. So see what happens on that
How
front.
much
But
is
yeah,
their? How much? Their football stadium is, or I guess their track stadium now is
Right.
not great. Did they?
No.
Are they tearing it down? No, they're not tearing it down.
I don't know, but I do
thought they
know
were doing
that-
some renovations
that,
to it.
maybe, hopefully, they get football back one of these days.
I hope so. That would actually be kind of fun.
Case of the Mondays for Vanderbilt baseball. I saw the highlight on this front. Man.
Yes.
So foggy.
So, yes, it was incredibly foggy. And apparently, so this is what happened. So Vanderbilt, this was in the top of the 9th. Vanderbilt was down 6-7 against Mizzou. Guy on second.
This is so
Kid
bizarre.
from Vanderbilt cranks a home run, 2-run home run, go ahead in the top of the 9th. But according to Mizzou, they ruled it a ground rule double because it was so foggy that the umpires couldn't see anything. According to the TrackMan data, it was a home run. And that actually is that's in the baseball, and it has all the tracks and all this different stuff. It was a home run, but the umpires went back, reviewed it, said it was a ground rule double, and the game is suspended, and then we will play it tomorrow.
This was right after this happened?
Right after the home run. So Vanderbilt cranks a home run. The umpires get together because nobody could see it. All you could see was the center fielder waving his arms, which, by the way, what does that usually indicate? That it's a home run.
Right. Well,
sometimes.
I mean,
Whatever. Umpires get together, talk a little bit. Head umpire comes back and says, hey, actually, it was a ground rule double, and we're going to suspend the game until tomorrow. So he goes, okay.
Got hosed.
So they go back, and Mizzou winds up winning the game.
This is with 2 outs in the 9th inning,
This is with 2 outs in the 9th inning. This is with 2 outs in the 9th inning.
Yeah.
Go-ahead home run. By the way, this is 11.7 college baseball. It said, after further investigation, we have a picture of this, by the way. We have a picture of this. I want to pull it up. Look at where the pitch clock is in relation to the pine trees in right center field. Now look at where the Mizzou player is standing and pointing. He says he set the measurement a little more towards center field for margin of error, and it measures at 368 feet. The TrackMan had the ball at 378 feet, which is 10 feet farther.
Right.
Had it been dead center.
Did someone find the ball? I mean, somebody found the ball, obviously, but they're saying that in order for it to be a ground rule double, it needs at least 5 feet in front of the fence. Like it's not like it's hitting the base of the wall.
Right.
It needs at least 5 feet and the correct trajectory. So yeah, that's another 5 feet. I mean, that's 15 feet.
Right.
At least.
That's the thing. But but they went back and reviewed it and said, no, it's not a home run. Actually, it's a ground rule double. I mean, it's just
Very
unbelievable.
interesting, yeah.
It's just unbelievable that.
And this is at Mizzou.
He even gave him an extra little bit. He said he went
right.
to center
Further
field,
towards center.
further towards center where the fence is farther away, and the fence is only 368 feet. That ball traveled 378 feet compared to where the ball was actually hit. I mean, that was a home run by 30 feet.
Yeah, the ball would have needed the height to get over the fence for a ground rule double. But honestly, Mizzou did this means, hey, ground rule double. I mean, so they, I guess, did the right thing. But what do you do in that situation?
He was pointing.
That's crazy, though. Fog gate. It was at Mizzou, for what that's worth. But, yeah, 2 outs and a guy on, and the fact that there was a guy on first, so it's a ground rule double. So with how the rule is written, the guy on first who would have scored, even if it were a regular double, had to stop at third because of the ground rule. Interesting.
Yeah, I know that's the thing. They didn't score at all, and Mizzou winds up winning. It's just unfortunate. I mean, why do good things happen to bad people? Hey, Case of Mondays for Im Sung Jae. Im Sung Jae, he is a professional golfer. We have a video of this. I want to describe what happens beforehand. So he's in the sand trap, knocks the ball out of the sand trap, but he was right by the green. The green has stands around it, and there's a wall right there. The ball sails over the green, hits the wall, rolls all the way back across the green, goes back into the sand. Can we play this? It's incredible.
To 15. And Sung Jae playing his third.
Got a soft spot that's been raked. That is a home run. Oh my.
Bumps off the fence. Yeah, it's coming right back to him.
Jim, he's going to get a chance to play that shot all over again.
That is bizarre.
Well, he hit it good and firm.
Yeah, no, he did. I know.
I mean, this is a preview of what you can expect when you see me on the links later this week.
Yeah. I'm excited.
I mean,
this is the first time I've seen golf.
He did not get cheated. I'll say that. He put his whole back into that. And
he sculled it, dude. It was awesome.
Absolutely crushed the wall.
It's amazing. Just sailed the green, smokes the wall, rolls all the way back, and you could hear, I think it was Jim Nance who was on the call, said he's going to have a chance to redo that shot all over again.
If I had a nickel for every time somebody said that to me.
Oh, man, it's fantastic. Sorry if you're listening on ESPN Kansas City, but it is just so, I mean, it's just like.
On ESPN Kansas City, again, there's a wall behind the green.
Yes.
He's in the trap. He hits it. Absolutely crushes the wall, like the middle of the wall, and then rolls all the way back to him across the green.
All
into
the way
trap.
back across the green,
Good
right
stuff.
back into the sand trap, man. Are you good out of the sand?
I'm better at the sand than I am
on the grass.
I'm better at the sand than my talent level otherwise on the golf course should suggest.
Okay, sure. Okay, so you're nice out of the sand. You're okay out of the sand, bad everywhere else.
Yes.
Okay, that actually makes a lot
Relatively
of sense.
speaking,
Okay,
yes.
sure. Man, shout out. By the way, he was tied for second when that happened too. He was 12 under. Man, that's just.
I'm going to be completely humbled next week because I'm going to be bringing home the trophy in Beer Olympics and sports trivia. People are thinking, oh, man, this guy's great. And then we're going to go to the golf course and be like, oh, God.
Yeah. Oh, no. See, that's the thing. Is like everybody has their weakness, and yours is golf.
It is.
That's
It is. I don't have enough reps.
I'm just glad that putter's being put to good use because every time you play around, you're using that putter 100 times.
That's true.
A
That's
little
true.
4 or 5 putts here and there.
Yeah, don't worry about the number of rounds I'm playing, just the number of putts.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Hey, case of the Mondays for Slavia Soccer. I don't know if you saw it. This is actually one of the wilder things that we've seen. We have a picture of it just because I didn't want to do any like copyright infringement or whatever.
God forbid.
Slavia Soccer, they were about to clinch the championship in their league against Sparta, which is the other soccer team's name, which is great, by the way. They were in stoppage time. They were up 3-2, about to clinch their first championship that they've had in a long time, maybe ever. I got to read more into it. But the entire north side of the stands, all like diehard Slavia fans, rushed the field with like road flares and pyrotechnics and fireworks. Hundreds, thousands of people rushed the field to celebrate Slavia winning their first championship, their first league championship. It was before the refs blew the whistle.
Officially called it.
So it was a
That's
premature
terrible.
field rushing.
That's
If you
terrible.
remember, who was it last year that it was?
Was it soccer?
No, it was football. Was it?
Oh, college football, yeah.
That's gonna. Oh my gosh, who was it? Arizona State.
I don't remember. I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, they rushed the field. They tore down the goalpost, and then it was Arizona State. I think beat BYU. Is that correct? They tore down the field goal post, and they're like, "Actually, guys, game's still going. There's 2 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
So all the fans need to get off the field, and we need to do this last thing."
Premature pitch invasion.
Premature pitch invasion, but there's some like serious stuff that's going to be happening. So apparently, the disciplinary committee of the country's football association said that after an extraordinary meeting on Sunday that, quote, such behavior will not be tolerated in professional football, and their punishment could be announced tomorrow, said it could include forfeiting the match, which would have locked
Which
up.
right now is the match was abandoned. Is that what they said?
Yeah, so the match was abandoned, so it actually doesn't count right now, and it could potentially count as a loss. Also, every single fan that rushed the field is going to be banned for life.
Wow. Are
For
you serious?
life.
That's
no,
crazy.
yeah, I'm dead serious. It says Slavia will work on measures to prevent such incidents in the future, and it says, quote, even if that means closing the North Stands for the entirety of next season.
Wow.
That's just insane, man. For celebrating. Now, granted, and they also said that some of the pyrotechnics like damaged the stadium
This is ridiculous, though. I'm sure.
It's just unbelievable.
This is way too far.
Yeah. No, absolutely it is. And they had road flares, like I said, and they were all going crazy, tearing up the pitch and all this different kind of stuff.
Wow.
So I don't know what's going to happen. Again, the punishment's going to be announced on Tuesday. And if there's anything we know about Slavic punishment, it's probably not going to be super, slap on the wrist, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just absolutely insane,
Yeah.
man. I mean, you gotta wait. You gotta wait until the whistle. You gotta play until the whistle blows. Afterwards, then you can, maybe do a little stuff. Maybe don't
Maybe
throw.
brandish
Maybe don't
fewer
be,
flares.
Yeah, fewer flares. Maybe don't be firing off fireworks.
Yeah.
In the middle, right? Don't be tearing up the stadium, right? That's not good. Don't do that. Rushing the field, not a bad.
What's interesting is that it's soccer, so there's running clock and extra time, and it looks like it was like 96 and a half.
Yeah.
It must have been one guy who thought they saw us. Like, it's not like everybody is hearing the horn.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, at least from what I know. I mean,
the ref blows the whistle.
Yeah,
and
you need to know. You need to know for sure.
And it was in 90. It was at 96, and I think that they put on 6 minutes of stoppage time too. So it was like, I mean, you're seconds away.
Right.
But you just gotta wait for that whistle, man. Just gotta wait for that whistle.
Yeah.
It's
What a
unfortunate.
bizarre story.
Speaking of soccer, case of the Mondays for a young man named United Strand. United Strand. Oh, I wish I had a picture of this too. He said he would not cut his hair until Manchester United won 5 straight games. When he said that, that was 583 days ago. Manchester United, they wound up losing over this past weekend, and they have 3 games left. So it is now impossible for Manchester United to win 5 games in a row, and he has to wait until next season starts August 22nd.
I would give up, man. That's too hot in the summer.
I don't know.
I'd give
I
up.
know that's the thing. Well, he lives in London, so it doesn't really get super
I mean,
hot.
Still, I mean, it's all. We got to get a photo, but yeah, it's all down.
Oh, he's got
crazy curls, man.
Crazy curls.
Crazy curls
Yeah.
all down. That's tough.
Yeah, heartbreaking.
I mean, for the love of the game.
What's the? Have you ever made a bet like this
I
before?
don't think so. You did though with your mustache. It's still going on.
No, it wasn't a bet. I did this under my own free will. I do have a friend, by the way. I had 2 friends. Shout out to Cole.
You have 2?
Cole, yes. Cole, who's actually going on the bachelor trip, and then one of my other buddies named Clay. Their freshman year of high school, they made a $100 bet as to who would let their hair grow out the longest.
Okay.
Clay wound up giving up about like 6 months in because his hair started growing out.
Yeah.
Cole's started growing down.
Yeah.
And to this day, Cole has hair down to his shoulders. Still. It has been about 9 years.
Huh.
And he is still...
He just decided to stick with it.
I actually, because it was his freshman year, I only know Cole, because I played football with him in Emporia State. I only know him as a long-haired guy.
Right.
Because of this. Because he came in with short hair, and then they did this like very early in football season. Grew his hair out, went down to his back, and just has kept it ever since, man.
Yeah, I'm sure that for Clay, when he got that haircut, it felt great. I mean, you lose $100, but man, I bet that
So I
felt
think
great.
Cole has thin, straight hair, so it works.
Yeah.
Clay's was like, it started growing out, and it was like into a big afro.
It's like, no,
and it was like,
can't do this.
that's...
Which is
you
kind
can't
of
do
what
that.
this guy's hair looks like.
Yes, absolutely. Hey,
All right,
one more. Case of Mondays for the Missouri Valley League swim teams other than Missouri State, because Missouri State, interesting hire, they hired Ryan Lochte as their assistant coach. I guess maybe I'm not super
Shout out to Springfield.
Maybe I'm not super in tune with everything, and I don't know what Ryan Lochte's been up to since the 2016 Olympics. That was 10 years ago, right? So he hasn't been doing much since then. But like, how much money are they paying Ryan Lochte to move to Springfield, Illinois, or Springfield, Missouri,
yeah,
to be an assistant coach? Now, granted, I don't know. Like, also, Ryan Lochte's a little bit of a party guy. But again, that was 10 years ago, the whole thing in Brazil. That was a bad situation, man. But, yeah, it's just, this is where does Missouri State get this kind of money to hire him as an assistant coach?
Yeah, how much does he charge on this front?
I don't know, man. But it's fascinating. Like, that's like, I don't know. I'm trying to compare it to something. That's like
I forgot they called that Lochte Gate, that gas station thing.
Gate. Yeah, that was really, really bad. That's like hiring Scottie Pippen to be an assistant coach at Belmont University.
True.
Isn't that probably a
what
fair?
What about Central Arkansas?
Well, but that's different because this is like Ryan Lochte didn't go to Missouri State,
right?
You know what I mean? Like it's just like it's like a mid-major hiring. Now, granted, I guess Michael Vick is the head coach of Norfolk State, so there's that.
There were a
Ed
couple
Reed
like that.
was the head coach of Bethune-Cookman for 2 weeks. So I don't know. But still, Ryan Lochte, by all indications, was the second best swimmer in at least the modern era of all time.
I got to go back and read this story about the I mean, it's literally in Wikipedia as Lochtegate.
Lochtegate.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. No, I don't. I mean, I don't know much. I'm gonna have to like go back and read it.
And there were 4 swimmers. I didn't realize it was 4 of them. I mean, that's not a small deal.
No, it wasn't. And like, we didn't hear much about Ryan Lochte after that.
No,
That's
he lost
for sure.
a ton of endorsements and all that. So
yeah.
bummer.
So maybe that's the thing. Maybe,
he's back.
He's strapped for cash. Maybe, and it's been 10 years. He's matured enough to be an assistant coach.
Time changes everything. He's got his shot now as assistant coach of the Missouri State swim team. How about that? Hey, that's our Case of the Mondays for today. After this, we're talking KU softball. They are dancing in the NCAA Regional. Going to hear from head coach Jennifer McFalls. Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, KansasNation.com.
Together, we're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Elevate your University of Kansas experience with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Central Bank and KU, elevating together.
Hustle in and save hundreds on Hustler Turf Raptor mowers and Hustler Turf Fast Track mowers. Heinen Repair and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment through May 31st. Restrictions apply. See Heinen for complete details. Durable Hustler residential zero-turn mowers are powered by Kawasaki V-Twin Performance Engine. Buy what the pros buy, where the pros buy during the Hustler Spring Sales event at Heinen Repair south of Valley Falls and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence.
With Heinen, there's always hope for your yard.
Summer starts at Crown Toyota. 2026 Camry models 3.99 APR. Get into a 2026 Prius plug-in hybrid for 1.99 APR. Adventure in every charge. The 2026 BZ, BZ Woodland, and CHR models now 0% APR.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn. You want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your winter services today.
Huge Memorial Day sale at Family Leisure. Unbeatable deals on pools, spas, patio furniture, and more. Jump into summer with exceptional deals on pools. Relax and unwind with unbelievable deals on hot tubs and swim spas. Sit in comfort with the highest quality patio furniture. Load up on all the summer essentials with the best chemicals, toys, and accessories. Memorial Day sale going on now at Family Leisure.
KU softball selected to the NCAA Regionals. How exciting is this? They're heading to Norman, Dan. They're going to take on Michigan in the first round. Not a fun potential second-round matchup against Oklahoma, but for the first time since 2015 and the first time under the tutelage of head coach Jennifer McFalls, KU softball is indeed going dancing. Coach McFalls, we're going to hear from here shortly. KU 17-22 in the regional round. Last win came in that 2015 season against Indiana State. All-time against Michigan, KU is 0-2. Michigan actually won the last matchup, which was earlier this season, 4-2 on February 8th. So these teams are facing each other. KU 35-19, 14-10 in Big 12 play. Most wins in a season since that 2015 campaign. KU set program records this softball season for home runs with 81, runs with 361, doubles with 94, and RBIs with 342, and a lot of other statistical achievements. Really excited for KU softball, and we're going to hear from Jennifer McFalls yesterday. Here's Coach.
Pop up there.
Oh, it's emotional. I mean, it's obviously so exciting. I'm I don't know, my heart just bleeds so much for this senior class and all the players that have poured in all the work over the last couple of years. This junior senior class has just been really special to me. They've been committed and loyal, and then obviously adding the freshman and sophomore classes to that is just, I think they're just laying the foundation of what the future is for Kansas softball.
At what point in the season did you know that this could be accomplished?
I'll be real honest. I mean, back last fall, I can't tell you how many times I mentioned to Travis and to Nicole, my boss, and just letting them know, like, I felt like this was going to be a really special group. I kept telling them, I remember meeting with Travis Goff in the fall and telling him, I think we have a chance to be really good. If we stay healthy and all the things continue to come together like they were, or possibly could, then I thought we had a real chance to get ourselves into postseason. And so obviously it's paid off, and it's been really exciting to see that. And I think more than anything, this team just needed some confidence and to be able to look in the mirror and realize they were really good.
Did you think in the days leading up to this that you'd get into the top half of the bracket and end up being one of the seeded teams? Because like the number 2 in the regional, I guess.
I think it's huge for us to be a number 2 seed going into this regional. I think it's deserving. Obviously, we'd love the opportunity at some point to put ourselves in position to host. That's obviously where you want to be. But at the same time, I mean, again, this is taking it one step further each year, and I think this team that has a chance to go there and play in this first postseason opportunity, it's just gonna make them realize, like, hey, this is the real deal, and what do we got to do to put ourselves in position in a better position next year.
Coach, how exciting is this for the senior class group? Campbell Bagshaw maybe in particular, just decided to stay home and believed in the process for 4 years, and is now finally has this to show for it.
I knew that freshman class 4 years ago was really special. They were just an amazing group of young ladies. It was a tough recruiting class for us because it was happening during COVID. So, that was a challenge alone, to be able to put this that particular recruiting class together. But once I got them here on campus, I just fell in love with that group. They were committed, they were loyal, they were great human beings off the field and on the field. And if you go back and look at it, I mean, they didn't play a lot their freshman year, but they had a great attitude. They were committed. They wanted to get better. They were hungry. And by the time they became sophomores and juniors, they were making a huge impact on the Kansas softball program.
Building off Henry's question about the draw, it seems like you feel good about where you're at. Michigan, a team you've played, Oklahoma, it seems like you're confident.
It's familiar territory for sure. I mean, obviously, this is the one year we haven't played OU, and here it's kind of interesting that we end up back there. But we played Michigan first weekend, and unfortunately we lost. We had to lead in that game and probably should have won that game early on. So it's exciting. I think it's a great matchup for us to start off. And again, I just told them today, anything could happen. We've got to be able to go in there and have a lot of faith and confidence in what we're doing. And, there's a whole lot more pressure on OU than it is on Kansas right now going into this tournament.
How do you let the moment not get too big for this squad? And obviously it's a big moment. These kids have been dreaming about it since they picked up that yellow ball. How do you let it not get too big when it comes to that game?
I think that's been the fun part about this group is we talked a lot early on and before we even started this season about not riding the emotional roller coaster, not too many highs and too many lows. And I think that they've done a phenomenal job of balancing that all season long. We've had some bumps along the way, but, the ebbs and flows were little bumps. And we never allowed ourselves to really get too high or too low this whole season. So, I think our reaction was great knowing we were getting in today, but at the same time, I think they're just driven. They're like, let's go. They want to go to work tomorrow. They'll be at practice. They'll be locked in, dialed in, and be ready to go. I mean, I don't think that they're holding back any emotions. I mean, I think that this team is so fun to watch, and they play with so much passion on the field, and that's where they let their passion truly, their personalities and their energy really, really shows when they step on the field.
That's KU head softball coach Jennifer McFalls as the Kansas softball team, as anticipated, playing in the big dance as they've got a win over UCF in the Big 12 tournament last week. They've done enough, and now they're going to have an opportunity, just like everybody else, to go out and make some noise. Dan, they get Michigan for their first opponent.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredibly massive, right, for them to get an at-large. I think if you saw the video of them being selected, I think a lot of them kind of were taken by surprise a little bit to be like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, we finally did it, because Kansas was kind of on that bubble. They weren't entirely sure if they were going to get an at-large or not, because they didn't do enough, obviously, to win the Big 12 tournament. But obviously a really impressive record this year, 35-19, 14-10 in the Big 12. That's the most wins that they've had since 2015, the last time that they made it to an NCAA regional. It's going to be tough, obviously, but you get to take on Michigan, and you kind of get to be able to take revenge on Michigan as well. The last time they played against each other was February 8th. It was a 4-2 match, or 4-2 game. Michigan wound up winning that one. Kansas has been a lot better since the beginning of the year. So I think Kansas is going to have a nice chip on their shoulder. Again, Oklahoma is very, very good. You also have Binghamton in your regional as well. You don't have to travel very far. So I would anticipate a lot of KU fans to be able to show up in Norman and make some noise for this Jayhawk squad. But again, you know, really impressive stuff. And Jennifer McFalls, you can just see that she's so happy and just so emotional about it. And she said it's emotional. I mean, it's obviously exciting. My heart just bleeds so much for the senior class and all the players that have poured in all the work over the last couple of years. These juniors and senior class have really been special to me. They've been committed and loyal, and they're obviously adding the freshman and sophomore classes to that. I think that's just laying the foundation for what the future is for Kansas softball. And she said it right there, man. I mean, you have a lot of the seniors. You have the Campbell Bagshaws of the world, the Haley Cripes of the world, but the Lizzie Ludwigs of the world. But at the same time, you have all the freshmen and sophomores who are in the program right now who have done such a tremendous job in terms of being impact players, right? You had the Lila Partridges, the Ella Boyers, right? All of these freshmen have been so good at making an impact, and hopefully they're able to stick around this Kansas squad and continue to build what is becoming a really respectable program in KU softball.
Yeah, the softball regionals this year: Norman, Eugene, Lubbock, Gainesville, Knoxville, Athens, College Station, and Austin on KU side. On the other side, Lincoln, Stillwater, Durham, Fayetteville, LA, Tallahassee, Baton Rouge, and Tuscaloosa. Again, Oklahoma, they are the 1 seed, so not an easy draw for Kansas up there, being against the 1 seed. If they got to get out of there, then somebody's going to have to beat Oklahoma twice. Kansas, Michigan, Binghamton. Binghamton is Oklahoma's first round opponent. And of course, it's a regional setting, so you got to lose twice before you're eliminated. KU and Michigan, be great for Kansas to get that first one that is coming up this weekend. So we'll keep you up to date.
Maybe Binghamton can throw a bone at it.
Hey, man. You never know. We are going to hear from the law firm tomorrow, though.
Ella Boyer and Campbell Bagshaw. And Bagshaw.
Yes, we'll hear from them tomorrow, get their reactions after KU softball gets the invite to the big dance. After this, though, got some KU football news, and we'll talk a little Royals baseball before we close it out. Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com.
The 2026 Volkswagen Atlas, now 2.9% APR, or choose a $3,500 customer bonus. Get up to a $2,500 customer bonus on 2026 Tiguan models. This is what the good life looks like.
Haney and the Hawks is presented by Jefferson's with 2 Lawrence locations, home of the best wings in town. 21 signature sauces. You got to check them out. But if wings aren't your thing, how about a burger? They hand patty their certified Angus beef every single day. Also hand bread their tenders. They make their ranch in-house. There is truly something for everybody at Jefferson's. Go see my buddy Brandon Graham and the entire crew at Jefferson's, either on Mass or Wakarusa in Lawrence, Kansas.
Together, we're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Elevate your University of Kansas experience with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Central Bank and KU, elevating together.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn. You want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your winter services today.
Hello, it's Mark Whitlow from Office Products Alliance. OPA is not just your local office products connection. We have expanded our offerings to network cabling installation, security cameras, door access, and IT services. We all need to keep pace with new technologies. You can trust a Kansas City company that has been your partner for 32 years. Check us out at opakc.com. Supporting local businesses and our community is more important than ever.
Excited about KU softball, Campbell, Bagshaw, September Flanagan, and the entire crew.
Why
are you laughing? I don't know.
You're the one who's laughing.
We are going to hear from Campbell, Bagshaw, and Ella Boyer a little bit later in the week.
You're the one.
Let me tell you about Jayhawk Checking. From Central
please.
Bank.
Yes, please do.
With Jayhawk Checking from Central Bank, Jayhawk fans can carry their pride wherever they go with the official Jayhawk debit card, a simple way to show school spirit every day. Central Bank is proud to support the traditions and communities that bring.
What does it do? What does it do?
They're killing me. They bring people together.
Oh, it brings people together.
Yes. As the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, you're going to have to do this. Central Bank is committed to serving Jayhawk fans with banking options designed for real life, on campus, at work, and everywhere in between. You want to do the rest of this?
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. Hey, you can learn more about Jayhawk Checking and the exclusive Jayhawk debit card at jayhawkchecking.com. That's jayhawkchecking.com. Central Bank, the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas.
I'll do this last part.
FDIC.
I wanted to do the member FDIC part.
If you're ready to wave the wheat beyond the stands.
There you go. Let's see the wheat wave. There it is.
Learn more.
Jayhawk Checking from Central Bank, partners of us here at Kansas Nation. Dan, we got some KU football updates as in addition to the roster up front defensively.
Yeah, this is a big-time get, I think, for this Kansas football team. Jalen Adkins from Coffeyville Community College, shout out to the Jayhawk Conference, commits to Kansas over this past weekend. Jalen Atkins, interesting kind of player. He's 6'3", only about 270 pounds, though. Plays defensive tackle for the what was the Red Ravens, now for the Jayhawks. 14 tackles. The Red Ravens.
Nice.
Yeah. Shout out.
I like it.
They recruited me a little bit. There's a child looking through a glass.
Threw a dart at you?
Yeah. But Jalen Atkins last year had 14 tackles, 3.5 TFLs, and 1 sack in 6 games as a redshirt freshman. Again, interesting story from him. Actually took 2 years off after high school to just go into the workforce, and then wound up coming back. Signed at one of the directional Oklahoma schools, one of the D2s, I believe it was Northwest, Nawasu, the Bulldogs, if I'm not mistaken. Redshirted there, then transferred over to Coffeyville, and had really nice numbers and moves really well on that interior. Now it's coming to the Jayhawks. He's 23 years old, is going to be a redshirt freshman this year, so still has a lot of playing time left. And if you kind of look at the defensive tackle position, right, you have a lot of nice players that you think have, some potential. I guess really the only guy that you have who's going to be coming back from last year in that D tackle spot is going to be Blake Harreld. Blake Harreld's going to be the head of the snake, if you will, in that D tackle room, just because he got the most amount of playing time, because you had the law firm of Withers and Dunn up front, right? Kansas has that 4-man front. They did a lot of rotating with these guys. Blake Harreld got some play, but looking at the defensive tackle room right now, it's headlined by a lot of transfers, right? You have Iman Biggie Smalls, who came over from UAB, really nice player, 6'2", 315 pounds. You also have Jabril Conde, who came over from Grand Valley State, another Division II, but a really nice player who moves really well. Trayvon McAlpine, who again is hurt. I don't know what his status is going to be right now, but could potentially, come back for the season and make an impact as well. Like I said, there's Blake Harreld, Cheese Hammond. A lot of people are really high on Cheese Hammond too. He's going to be a redshirt freshman this year, redshirted last year. And Kevin Oatis came over from Arkansas. Again, that's probably something that we haven't talked about a lot either. Is you're getting some SEC talent in there. I believe he was a former 3-star recruit from Arkansas. So again, that's just another one of those rotational pieces. You also have Marcus Calvin, who, by the way, did you know
he did not have a barbell in his high school?
You're kidding.
First time news.
That's amazing. But Marcus Calvin, again, a lot of people are really high on him too. I'm really high on him as well. So you're adding in Jalen Atkins to this room and just kind of adding another piece. He's actually the lightest defensive tackle that Kansas has on the roster right now. But again, he moves really well. He's built like a muscle hamster and can kind of rip through and kind of create that chaos. So I really like the way that that's shaping up. I think that was just a nice addition, maybe a depth piece. Who knows? He could potentially be starting. And again, he's thin enough, 270 pounds, and I think he's fast enough too, where you could potentially slide him on the outside as well. So he could be listed potentially as a defensive lineman, where that could be a mixture between defensive end and defensive tackle, depending on the kind of coverages you have, right? I mean, if you remember last year, 2 years ago, you had Dean Miller out covering the flats, right? Where you have some guys who might be okay in coverage, but I think if you're going to slot him in the defensive end spot, I don't think his coverage is very good, but he's going to be able to get some pressure on the quarterback. So that could be a big-time thing. So, yeah, he's going to be added and going to be joining this Kansas squad in this 2026 football season.
Definitely a position group where there's a lot of rotation, so you could see 7-8 guys. You could see a lot of guys making tackles. Think about the impact that Keenan Caldwell had on this program despite not being a starter.
No, exactly,
at
right.
all. So you never know who's going to be able to come out and be impactful on that front. Hey, KU basketball news. We have known this was coming, but today came out officially that guard Dennis Parker Jr. has signed with KU. Bill Self saying, quote, "At Radford, Dennis proved that he was one of the best scorers in the country. He's a more than capable shooter with range. He's got great size, and anybody that can get 53 in a Division I game certainly has potential to get hot and carry a team in stretches. We're very excited to add him to the mix," end quote. Parker started all 32 games for Radford, averaged upwards of 18 points per game. Again, that 53-point game, he was 19 of 24 from the field, 10 of 14 from 3. 53 points, the most scored in a D1 game anywhere since 2019. So that is noteworthy. Yeah, been a while.
Who was it in 2019? Was it that kid from Detroit Mercy? Do you remember him?
Yes. What was that kid's name?
I don't remember. That's going to annoy me.
But he's like one of the all-time leading scorers.
I think he is the all-time leading scorer.
Is it gotta look it up. Is he the all-time leading scorer?
I believe he is.
What about, there's no way that's still true though, right? Because of all the sixth-year guys since then. Because that was before the novel coronavirus.
Antoine Davis,
yes,
all-time leading scorer for Detroit Mercy, 2018 to 2023. He had 3,664 points.
Well,
that's second all-time.
Is
Maravich. Yeah, it's 4 points behind Pistol Pete.
That is crazy.
And Pistol Pete did it.
This is coming back to me
Pistol
now.
Pete did it in 3 years.
Yeah, that's coming back to me. Crazy. Royals, they win 4 of 7 on their homestand, so pretty good. They took the first 2 against Cleveland, lost the last 2, and then they won the first 2 against Detroit before losing last night. Injury news, Cole Reagan's placed on the 15-day IL with left elbow impingement. Not what you want to see. He deals with valgus extension overload, VEO, a condition commonly called pitcher's elbow. It's characterized by back and middle elbow pain related to repetition in throwing athletes. This is according to Annie Rogers on MLB.com/Royals. Of course, Stephen Kolek has pitched a little bit. He's likely going to slide into Reagan's rotational spot. Carlos Estevez also, he experienced shoulder discomfort in his first rehab appearance, so he's going to be shut down for 3 to 4 weeks. That's no good. Royals, though, they're very much in the conversation, as we've talked about. Everybody's within 2.5 games in the AL Central. Royals don't play tonight, but they hit the road to take on the White Sox. Royals 19-22. White Sox are 19-21. That'll be Kolek against Fetty beginning tomorrow, as again, hovering around 500, still very much in the conversation. That's going to do it for Rock Chalk Sports today. For Elijah Schmidt running the operations and Dan Courtwright telling you to tune in tomorrow. It's going to be a Top 10 Tuesday. We're going to have more softball content and, of course, everything else going on in the world of sports. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com.
Hustle in and save hundreds on Hustler Turf Raptor mowers and Hustler Turf Fast Track mowers. Heinen Repair and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment through May 31st. Restrictions apply. See Heinen for complete details. Durable Hustler residential zero-turn mowers are powered by Kawasaki V-Twin Performance Engine. Buy what the pros buy, where the pros buy during the Hustler Spring Sales event at Heinen Repair south of Valley Falls and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence.
With Heinen, there's always hope for your yard.
Summer starts at Crown Toyota. 2026 Camry models 3.99 APR. Get into a 2026 Prius plug-in hybrid for 1.99 APR. Adventure in every charge. The 2026 BZ, BZ Woodland, and CHR models now 0% APR.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn, you want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your winter services today.
Hello, it's Mark Whitlow from Office Products Alliance. OPA is not just your local office products connection. We have expanded our offerings to network cabling installation, security cameras, door access, and IT services. We all need to keep pace with new technologies. You can trust a Kansas City company that has been your partner for 32 years. Check us out at opakc.com. Supporting local businesses and our community is